Okay. Just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute. I just think okay. Now I can share my screen. Okay, uh is my can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, very well.
Awesome. All right, cool. Awesome. Hello everyone. I see we have quite some number here. So yeah, my name is Lucky Rumes Benu. I'm certified Servicenow technical architect, and what we basically will be running through today is just an introduction to ServiceNow. But I also want this session to be a bit interactive. I want to, um, I think I want to start with really getting like a feel of the the people we have on this call here, how, what they know about ServiceNow, right? I think we would start off with that. So probably if you could drop a chat, just drop a chat, you could help out. Just see if you could just, what I want to start off with is basically asking of those I've heard of, if you've heard of, if you've worked with ServiceNow in the past, like you've interacted with ServiceNow in the course of your work, if you could just drop a chat, just yes, no, just so I could get a really get a feel of the audience we have here, if you don't mind.
Okay, I can start. Right. So back in Nigeria, I used ServiceNow in my previous employment, and basically we use it to manage our vendors, right?
Awesome.
Just impute to if it's before you start working with any vendor, it has to go through ServiceNow. You impute all the information there, the payments and all of that. So the vendor will have a unique number and all. So that's that. So right now, where I work, I use ServiceNow, but I use it to manage signing process in my place. So
Okay.
there's something they call authority foreclosure. I work in a place that we have different retail stores. So if you want to close a particular retail store, it has to go through sign off, signature, everybody has to be aware, just proper documentation, and also for sign off of expenditure. That's how I use ServiceNow. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Do we have any other person that want to share? You could just drop a chat in the drop a message on the chat if you hear of ServiceNow, if you've not interacted, fine. If you hear about ServiceNow for the first time, that's also I just want to get a feel, right? Do we have anyone?
There's no chat, there's no comment for now.
Okay, no
Sure.
comment. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's
All right.
fine. It's okay. So today, what at the end of today, what I want to achieve with this in this session is really to give the audience here an introduction into to ServiceNow, what ServiceNow is, um, an idea of the kind of enterprise and companies that actually use ServiceNow, why they use ServiceNow, and what a career in ServiceNow looks like, and what in terms of um, availability, what demand is for ServiceNow. And also, I would also talk about what the salary is like, what the salary scale is like in North America. If you have those are joining from outside North America, yeah, maybe just use this as a benchmark. But usually, North America actually leads the lead in terms of salary scale as compared to Europe and other parts of the world. So yeah, but we really streamlined this for North America. So that's it for that. So yeah, but do you have any comments, Dolapo, before I continue?
All right, the chat was initially disabled, but I've enabled it now. Somebody
Okay.
wrote that, yeah. So I've
Okay.
enabled, so I guess that people can now comment. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So what we basically like I said, what we'll be doing today is just an introduction to ServiceNow, right? Now, ServiceNow and the core of ServiceNow is it's a cloud-based platform, but it's also a platform of platform, right? It's used to automate the IT service management and also other enterprise workflows. So if you when you talk about IT service management, you talk about how your request is made in an enterprise, how change is managed in an enterprise, how incident is managed in an enterprise, how um, knowledge is managed in an enterprise. Now, I'll break it down a bit. So, incident, for example, you have um, a password issue. You're trying to log into you open your laptop for the day. You're starting work and you're trying to log in and you have issues with your password, right? Now, usually, what you do is, I would think most times is you would call the service desk of your company, right? Now, the service desk is the first tier. You call the service desk, and the service desk, they might do some troubleshooting, and if they don't get past that, they can't help you, then they log an incident. Now, with ServiceNow, that incident process is managed. So it goes from how it's assigned to one queue and the whatever triage that's done there, that's documented in the incident that's created, and it goes in a workflow from start to the end at the end of the day. And then also change management, right? Change management is also managed under the ITSM, IT service management, um, as a module in ServiceNow. Now, at this point, I would pause and see if we have any questions because I really want to make this very interactive. I just want to be don't want to be just talking about just talking on and on. If you have questions, if you please feel free to drop it in the chat, and I'll definitely address that. Now, I also talked about other enterprise workflows. Now, in an enterprise, we have so many processes in an enterprise. So you have the security operations. You also have asset management, right? And you also have HR. You have GRC. You have customer service management. And all these, they call models in ServiceNow. These are different models in ServiceNow. Now, at the end, at the base level, what ServiceNow does for organizations is it helps them to it recreates it creates their existing process, right? Bring it into ServiceNow, and it's managed with a workflow. That's what ServiceNow does. So it's a platform of platform. Now you have companies that have very complex workflows. So for example, ServiceNow has an HRO model, and what companies, a lot of organizations do with the HRO model is they um, they implement the HR model and they configure the HR process in that HR model. But you also have organizations that say the HR model you have in ServiceNow does not fit our process entirely. So what they do is they build applications in ServiceNow that actually maps their process. And at the end of the day, it's still, they have the platform, ServiceNow platform. They have the ITSM model, which is the incident, change, request, knowledge, right? And they've built their own separate HR model to take advantage of these other these ITSM models, the components of the ITSM model in ServiceNow. So um, if I come back again, what I said earlier, which is ServiceNow is a platform of platform. So even if you don't want to implement all the models, you implement the base model, which is the ITSM model, you could build your whatever processes you want to build in ServiceNow, you could build that in ServiceNow. That's what ServiceNow is looking at from on the base level. Next, we'll talk about some of the roles and responsibility in terms of a career in ServiceNow. Now you have, usually you start from the administrator. Now the administrator manages, the administrator is very knowledgeable about the platform, but they manage configurations in the platform. So, sorry. So in terms of managing the database in ServiceNow, the users, just database in general, an administrator usually will do this. That's the job of the administrator. So the administrator need to be knowledgeable about the platform. They need to be knowledgeable about the base tables. They need to be knowledgeable about how workflows are designed. They need to be knowledgeable about just the configurations in ServiceNow, which is how ServiceNow is built, how the models are, how it comes out of the box in ServiceNow. Right? Then you have a developer. Now, a developer, it's a step ahead of an administrator. A developer will build and customize application. So now, earlier I talked about how some organizations would not just implement the models you have in ServiceNow. They would, if they have ServiceNow, they have ServiceNow, they have the base model, which is the ITSM model, but they would build applications that would map their existing process in ServiceNow. And that's where a developer comes in. Now, a developer needs to be knowledgeable a lot about JavaScript because that's the main programming, the language used for customizing in ServiceNow. Now, JavaScript is very, very key. Then also for the UI part of ServiceNow, which is the portal, then you need CSS, HTML, and also some advanced advanced languages. But it's really a minute part of customizing in ServiceNow. Now, the basic is usually the backend, which is you use JavaScript as core for ServiceNow. Then you also have the architect. The architect, they design solutions, right? They design efficient solutions, how ServiceNow interact with other systems. Then also you have the consultant. The consultant advise business on the implementation of ServiceNow. Now they advise businesses, organizations, how well to get their current process and how to replicate their current process in ServiceNow, and a lot of times give them best practice on how to achieve their future state. Because note that at the end of the day, what ServiceNow allow organizations to do is they have their existing process, and definitely they have some bottleneck, they have some pain point in their process. Now they want a system where they implement digital workflows, right, to make those bottlenecks they have, to make it seamless. That's why they're implementing ServiceNow. So that's where the consultant come in. But at this point, I would like to pause and see if you have any questions at this point that you have any before I move forward. Any questions?
Hi, Lucky. So let me
Hi.
just reconfirm. I don't know. Let me just see if anybody's answer is raised up.
Yeah.
No questions for now, but guys, can you know that the chat is now open? You can raise your hand or put a question in the chat. Thank you. You can go ahead, Lucky.
Awesome. Now, I know a couple of people might be thinking, okay, yeah, ServiceNow. Yeah, you talked a bit about ServiceNow, but like, who uses ServiceNow? Now, at the last count, over 7,400 organizations globally use ServiceNow, and this includes Fortune 500 companies. I'm based here in Canada, so if you have a lot of audience, if you have audience members of the audience here that are actually based in Canada, it's a lot of like the top four banks in Canada, they use ServiceNow. CIBC, Scotiabank, RBC, and BMO. TD, top five banks, they use Scotiabank. The top insurance companies, they use ServiceNow. Name them. Then the government also uses ServiceNow. The federal government, the provincial government, I I can assure you they use ServiceNow. They a lot of them are implementing ServiceNow recently. Recently, the last 2 3 years, we've seen a lot of implementation on ServiceNow. So yeah, it's really the platform for organizations. And ServiceNow serve both in, as I said, cuts across industries, finance, healthcare, manufacturing, just name it. Lots of companies use ServiceNow. And what this implies at the end of the day is there's a huge demand for ServiceNow professionals, right? What I also want to do is at the end of this, at the towards the end, right? I also would walk us through how a demo of how workflows, how ServiceNow is used, right? The workflows in ServiceNow, I would definitely walk us through that. But just a heads up for everyone here. Now, a live example of ServiceNow solutions, right? Like I said earlier on, incident management, um, resolving IT issues efficiently at a global bank. And IT issues can vary from, like I said, login issues. It might vary to issues with uh, let's say, wrong. So, for example, you're onboarding a new employee, and the employee got the wrong laptop that was ordered for the employee, for example. These issues, these are IT issues are managed with the incident management. Now, if you come back a bit, I talked about the ITSM model. Now, incident management is part of the ITSM model in ServiceNow. Then also talked about HR service delivery. Now, onboarding process for a lot of organization, it's if you have different systems you use, then it's usually a nightmare. Now, I'll give you an example, a real life example. Now, if a company that has different system, when a new employee joins the company, the organization, what happens is they do onboarding, and you order a laptop or a workstation for the employee. And if you're using different systems, or use one system to order, the manager would order usually the manager orders the workstation for the employee. Then, depending on what system they do, the manager needs to send an email for login as access for that employee.